All right, arms overhead, reach up and breathe. You got 75 minutes with me. I want you to lose your mind. Now, I like to introduce myself this way. I was raised by wolves. How many are raised by wolves? You're like, what does that mean? How many of you drank out of a garden hose? You rode a bike without a helmet. And you rode in a car without seatbelts, and you are here today. So growing up in Michigan, some people are afraid of the subject. You know, when I start talking about nutrition and fitness and my wife's curse, my wife Paula, I've been married 33 years to my wife Paula, she's here today. And her curse is that we never get invited for dinner. Nobody ever invites us for dinner. Because they're afraid that we're going to get into this stuff. But I want to back up. I want to let you know where I came from. I'm born and raised in Michigan. My parents were fantastic, but like many of you, raised by wolves, and I was a horrible eater. I mean, I was raised on Beefaroni, SpaghettiOs, bologna sandwiches. I was a horrible eater. Kool-Aid and Pepsi were my only drinks. I drank milk and that was it. And I had amazingly bad skin for 20 years of my life. I took oral medications, I took topical creams. The doctors kept coming back to my parents, your son just has sensitive skin. I didn't have sensitive skin, I was a terrible eater. And then I learned over time, when I was in about my second year, I was an economics business major at Western Michigan, and I learned this from this professor, and he talked about the power of food and processed food and things like that. And then I started changing what I was eating and drinking, and then my skin got better. And I'm thinking, wow, this stuff's really powerful. So today, when we start thinking about what's possible in your life, some of you are like, you know, I'm not as healthy. How many of you want to have better health? I mean, who doesn't, right? I mean, you have amazing company here, and you go, you know what? I want to be, you know, in the long haul. How many would like to have better energy, more consistent energy throughout the day? How many like to have better fitness level? Man, I like to be a little bit more fit. And then you get into all the other stuff. How many of you like to be medicated free the rest of your life? Because that's what I'm going to talk about today. But if you don't plant that seed at the very beginning, you're going to like, I'm okay, that's okay, but I want you to be a little bit more than okay, because obviously you have amazing careers in front of you, but at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, you don't have a lot. It's not about this or that, it's about throwing out possibilities. Is it possible to have an amazing career in front of you, but also have your health at the end of the day? And that's what I want you to walk away today going, you know what, I can have both of those, because I've been doing this a long time. You can have both, but the foundation is you. And that's what I'm going to hit you today. The foundation of your business is you. And the healthier you become, if you ask any organization around the world what their most valuable asset, this is what I was talking to Michelle about, she said, obviously it's their people. And then the most valuable asset of your people is their health. So if you don't start with that foundation, I'm reading all your stuff, you know, you go to the best routes and you have the best quality and you have all that's the same thing with you. So I want to throw that possibility at the very beginning. Now, when I first got in the business, you know, you think about all the stuff that you do, and you change lives every day. But I was all about information. What I'm going to hit you today, it's not about information. I'm going to give you great information, but really I'm going to throw the emotion on top of it. Because if you don't understand behavior change, you're not going to get people to change. And when I first got in the business, I was all about information, but I wasn't getting any change. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you want? How many of you like to be a little healthier? Have better energy throughout the day? More vitality? Maybe some of you are going down that medication path. You want to lose a few medications. How many of you like to lose a few pounds? You know, I ask people all the time, how many of you are interested in losing weight? Everybody's hand goes up. I said, how many of you are committed to losing weight? And the hands come back down. So the first step is, what do you want? Number two, you have to get emotional. You know, when I heard this opening, I was like so emotional backstage, because that's what it's all about. And anytime the why or the purpose gets outside of you, I mean, that's what you do. You help people every day. It gets outside of you. It gets become very powerful. Now, this is my grandson, Ez. He's now over a year old. And he's a puppy for Halloween, so if you haven't, here he is for Halloween. And then my son, Matt's got him doing the Ontario Living book, starting out right. But I started thinking about this myself, but I had amazing grandparents growing up, and one of my powerful whys for my kids' is I want to be that same kind of grandparent. So anytime the why gets outside of you, very powerful. I was speaking years ago in Michigan, and I have a large group, and they know I'm all about this why thing, and these two women come up after one of my events and said, hey, we want to share with you our why. We know you're all into this stuff. I said, well, let me hear it. Well, the two of us got in a weight loss contest. We both lost over 30-some pounds, and here comes their why. The loser had to eat a can of cat food. So I've heard the grandkid thing, I've heard the significant other thing, I've heard these powerful stories, but I've never heard the cat food story. Whatever floats your boat, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. And the last but not least, this is what it's all about. It's about building habits and rituals. This is what you do in your profession with people. I want you to start building some habits and rituals for you. Because it's not about just everybody else, it's about you. That's the foundation. Now, I've asked everybody in this room this morning, how many of you put your right shoe on first? Raise your hand. How many have no idea what shoe went on first? But you look down and you see two shoes. 80% of what we do every day is habitual. We don't even think about it. So if you can walk away this morning going, you know what, I can do one or two things, or you come away from this amazing conference, one or two things, you build a ritual you never forget. So again, focus on what you want, find a powerful why, find a powerful purpose, and then you build a habit. Because no matter where you travel around the world, and last year I was all over the world, I was in Hong Kong, Argentina, Europe, Mexico. This is not a United States problem anymore, it's a global problem. Our health is going sideways. If you look at the statistics, I'm not going to go there deep today, but we have to understand with more hospitals, more health professionals, more all this stuff going on, we're still moving in a bad direction. And then people ask me all the time, well, what about this thing called genetics? Chris, I have high cholesterol, I have high blood pressure, it's genetics. We're just talking about that with MS. You can have these genetic tendencies, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the best example I can give you. This is obesity in 1977. There is none. The entire nation is green. So there is no obesity in 1977. Then all of a sudden, 20 years go by, hardly any changes at all, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2007, we see the South and Midwest at 30% obesity. And then today, we're over 30% across the board. And any of you have kids out there or grandkids? You need to pay attention to this slide right here because in the next 10 years, we're going to be at 40% obesity. So this train is off the track, ladies and gentlemen. We got to get this thing online. And people ask me all the time, well, what's causing this? This. And this is not in the United States anymore. When I was in Guadalajara, Mexico, 4 years in a row, when I first came there, this wasn't even prevalent. And today it's like rampant. And we have way too much information. I call it the Dr. Oz syndrome. Dr. Oz is trying to do great stuff. He's on entertainment TV. The reason I know this, my mom calls me weekly. Hey, did you hear what Dr. Oz said this week? I go, honey, what did Dr. Oz say this week? Well, he was talking about raspberry ketones to lose weight. I go, Mom, you're 83 years old. You weigh 100 pounds. You don't need to lose weight. And then we have the hacking, the mentality. There's no shortcut, ladies and gentlemen. There's no shortcut in your business and no shortcut in what we do. It's a process. And then you throw lack of movement on top of it. I'm in the Denver airport months ago. And I'm coming down the escalator to TSA. And if you've ever been in Denver airport, they got these two escalators going down. And as I'm going in down this thing, I see this mob scene at the top of each escalator. The escalators are broke. I'm asking this guy. He goes, the escalators are broke. I go, it's a stair. You pick up your feet and you walk down the stair. And everybody thought, yeah, I guess we can do that. Away we go. And then you throw some stress on top of it. Now we understand what the problem is. It's so easy to be out of balance. And then if you don't know how to maneuver in this world, it's a problem. Anybody from West Virginia? This is a Luther burger from West Virginia. It's a Krispy Kreme dough on the top, Krispy Kreme dough on the bottom, bacon and cheese in between. The other picture I took from Nashville, Tennessee. This was a picture I had my wife reach out the window in southern Michigan. She said, why do you want to see this? I said, have you ever seen 4 Burger King exits in a 6-mile radius? And this is one of my all-time favorites in North Carolina. So when you start thinking about how you travel, how you maneuver, if you don't have some basic understanding, this is what faces us every day. You do it in your business. If I have skin problems, I got to understand that the human body heals from the inside out. So if I have skin problems, I have problems with digestion. But nobody's talking about that. They're just going to give you more stuff, right? So again, part of your profession is not only help them with what you teach, what you're promoting, but also help understand that. If you have a headache, think about this for a minute. If you have a headache, do you have an ibuprofen deficiency? You guys get it. Of course you don't. So the first thing people do, though, when they have a headache, they reach for ibuprofen or anti-inflammatories. In reality, they might be dehydrated, they might be lacking magnesium, they might be lacking healthy fats, but they're not asking the right question. So if you looked at a typical medicine cabinet, this is what you see. High blood pressure, cholesterol, the list goes on. We've all been there. We've all seen this stuff. These are lifestyle medications, but nobody's talking about them in the right. So if you have to get on a medication, I'm not your doctor. I'm not telling you to get off a medication or not, but before you get on any medication, you got to step back and go, wait a minute. If that plant was wilted on the side of the road, we all understand soil, sunlight, water. Same thing with the human body. It's amazing how it heals itself. So I was speaking at this large convention a couple years ago. I get a phone call. We're doing Q&A at the end. I get a phone call from this woman. She calls me up. She said, hey, I was in your audience. You're talking about atrial fibrillation, the fluttering of the heart. Many men get atrial fibrillation in their early 50s. Many women get it in their late 50s. She said, my husband has atrial fibrillation. Can you help me? I said, sure. Here comes the questions. Number one, what's he taking medication-wise? He's taking atrial fib med, and he's taking a beta blocker. He's taking a beta blocker. Beta blockers are very powerful medications. I said, you've lost your husband, haven't you? I have. My husband has no energy anymore. He has no interest in me. He has no interest in anything. Of course, he's on a beta blocker. It shuts down the human body. I said, is he taking anything else besides the beta blocker? She said, like what? I said, is he taking any form of anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen? She said, give me an example. I said, Tylenol, Aleve, Advil. She said, yeah, he takes Aleve. I said, how long has he been taking Aleve? She said, he's been taking Aleve for probably 10 years. How often does he take it? Twice a day. I go, I think that's your problem. Ladies and gentlemen, anti-inflammatories are so unhealthy for the human body. You get a bee sting, you got a toothache, you do it short term, not a big deal. But if you're doing it chronically, one of the worst things you can put in the human body. So I said to her, here's the deal. You get him off as Aleve right now and replace that with cod liver oil. Cod liver oil is an anti-inflammatory. So you start putting that cod liver oil in his diet. Number two, your husband's deficient in magnesium. Because when you put these medications together on top of anti-inflammatories, they pull out of the body one of the most powerful minerals in the human body. It's called magnesium. It helps with headaches, it helps your sleep, helps your blood pressure, and it helps with your heart. Magnesium controls the contraction of the heart. Your husband's deficient in magnesium. I want you to have him do an Epsom salt bath twice a week, 2 cups. Soak in that for 10 minutes. Number two, I want you to have him start consuming oatmeal in the morning. And on top of that oatmeal, I want you to put cacao nibs, real chocolate. One thing goes, next thing goes, 18 months go by, and this gentleman is now atrial fib free. She's got her husband back. You can start asking better questions. It hit me like a ton of bricks at lunch today. If you had this size plate in the United States, what would happen? I'm walking around Europe and I'm like, why are these people all lean, mean fight machines? Now I know. Because if you serve this plate in the United States, they would think they'd have to have 3 of them, okay? And it hit me like I'm having lunch with my wife and I have this little plate and I'm like, wow, this is all I really need, right? But I want to come out of here. That's our mission, to have amazing results, because that's the key right here is results. So if I don't tackle your beliefs, so a lot of you in this audience believe that taking care of yourself is secondary. I'm going to tell you that's not secondary. You should be number one. You should be number one. The foundation is you. You're saying, well, I got to take care of my family. If you're not there, you can't take care of your family. So if you don't believe that, you're not going to put the emphasis in that, and that should be the foundation of your business. And because if it disappears, because that's my world, people come in and they're so successful in their lives, but when they don't have their health at the end of the day, they don't have a whole lot. So that's a belief I want to tackle real quickly. Many people believe the best way to lose weight is more cardio. That's not true. That's a myth. Many people believe, this is my table up here, these are fats here. Sometimes people believe fats make you fat. In the center here is proteins. Many people believe proteins make me leaner. That's not true. And many people believe that carbohydrates make you fat. And that's not true. So if I don't tackle people's beliefs, you're going to get a limited results. Let me throw one to you. How many of you believe cod liver oil tastes bad? Raise your hand. Raise them high. Let me see them. And how many of you believe it tastes bad and you never had it before? So here's your lucky day. You get to try cod liver oil on your way out of here today. But here's what I want you to know. Why would I bring cod liver oil? Because we brought a boatload of bottles for you. And it's being chilled like a fine bottle of wine right now. You're all going to say the same thing. It doesn't taste like anything. But this is what I want you to focus on. Number one. One of the top 4 benefits are this. Number 1 is brain health. Everybody in this room wants a healthy brain as you age. Number 2, you want to have a healthy heart. Number 3, this is your anti-inflammatory. And last but not least, how many of you like to have healthy sex hormones? Many of you are not telling the truth. So that's the big 4. Brain, heart, inflammation, and hormones. And why, when you take it, you're all going to say the same thing. It doesn't taste like anything. My mom was telling me years ago, she said, I have this cramping in my calf. Can you help me? I said, yeah, Mom, are you drinking enough water? She said, yeah, I'm drinking plenty of water. I said, you drinking mineral water? She said, what's that do? I said, it makes your water more alkaline. It might help you. So she said, I'll give it a try. So I have dinner with her about a month later. She comes over to the house. She said, I got a funny story to tell you. I said, what's that? She said, yeah, I went to see my sister, my Aunt Donna, in Saginaw, Michigan, about an hour away from where we live. It's my mom's best friend. They're about a year and a half apart. Aunt Donna never listens to my mom about her health ever. Doesn't care about her health, doesn't listen to my mom. But my mom's telling her about the cramping in her calves, and she's getting benefits because she's drinking the mineral water. So Aunt Donna says, I have the same kind of thing. I have cramps in my calves. You think it'll help me? She said, of course, it'll help you. So my mom's telling me the story. I said, you got Aunt Donna drink the mineral water? She never listens to you. She said, yeah, she got the cramp in the calf. Same thing I did. I said, that's amazing. She said, no, there's more to the story. I said, what is it? She said, Aunt Donna mixes her whiskey with her mineral water every night. So the first strategy I'm going to give you right now is how we breathe. You have 2 ways we breathe. Here's what I want you to do. For this one, you have to sit up nice and straight. If you're not sitting up straight, you will become a chest breather. One of the most important muscles of the human body is called the diaphragm that sits right underneath your lungs, right at your belly button area. When you're sitting up straight, it allows the diaphragm to move. So on the left side, you see the chest breathing. On the right side is that diaphragmatic or belly breathing. There's 5 key points in the human body. You have your ear, you have your shoulder, your hip, your knee, and your ankle. And when they're all lined up, the body sings. When the body gets out of alignment, that's when we create lots of problems. So when my inner thighs are together, squeeze your inner thighs together, squeeze your glutes tight, and then take your index finger and put it right on your navel. And as you take a deep breath in, I want you to suck that navel to your spine. This is working one of the most powerful muscles in the human body called the transverse abdominis. When you squeeze your inner thighs together, your glutes are tight and draw the navel up and in, you contract this thing called the pelvic floor. Really good stuff here. All right, relax for a second. Ooh, wow. Ooh. So let's try that again. Inner thighs together, butts tight, navel's up and in, pace this, and now you can work your core without doing anything. So I'm in the grocery store years ago with my daughter Kristen. Flexing my thighs tight, butts up and in, navel's up here, flexing my triceps, crushing myself. She said, Dad, what are you doing? I said, honey, I'm working on my pelvic floor. She said, get away from me. If you're cruising down the highway and the engine light comes on, what would you do? How many of you hope the engine light just goes off? I think there was a Seinfeld episode about that. But we all do this. We're not taught this. And it's really the body talking back to you. And all I want you to do is to just come out of here today going, you know what? I need to listen to my body more. If I'm not sleeping, or my energy is not quite right, or I ache all the time, these are telltale signs. My blood pressure is starting to creep up. I have acid reflux now, or my cholesterol's out of balance. Whatever it might be, the body's going to talk back to you.